The name Anglia first originated in 1939, and by the time this came out in '53, the country was still recovering from the Second World War. Petrol was rationed, the streets were made of cobblestones, but more importantly, most people were struggling financially. What people needed more than anything else was a cheap little car that wouldn't make them cry every time they had to fill up the tank. Enter the Anglia. This version here is the E494A, which doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. It has a whopping 1 litre side valve engine that produces 30 horsepower. And whilst that might be less than the average ride-on lawnmower of today, back in '53, that was acceptable. And whilst everything I have just said is true, I've not been entirely truthful with you on some of the features this car has, because it's not exactly standard.
In the coming weeks, I'm going to be releasing a proper feature-length motoring program on YouTube that has all of the great traits and features that made the original Top Gear so iconic. It's going to star me and my good friend Connor, who you've seen before, and it's going to be so good. We've put so much work and so much effort into this. I think you're going to absolutely love it. So please subscribe, please hit the bell so that you're ready for when our new motoring show comes out. See you then.
It has a HA Viva front suspension rather than standard, a Ford 2-litre Pinto engine, which has been mated to a 5-speed manual gearbox, and it has the rear axle of a 105E Anglia, the later model. The brakes have been upgraded all around from drums to discs, and the fuel tank is now an aluminum number in the boot. Rather tastefully though, as you will see, this car has retained one very important original part, the interior. Now, step inside and you quickly realize how basic it is in here. You get a steering wheel, some pedals, and a speedometer that goes up to 70, which is hilarious. This wouldn't hit 70 if you pushed it out the back of a cargo plane. And the horn doesn't work. Okay, we'll come back to that. If you'd bought one of these for yourself, well then this is what your driving position would look like. There's your steering wheel, certainly no airbag. A large hole there with some wiring, your center console, temperature, fuel levels, miles, and speed. In this particular car, you don't have a glove box, you simply have a glove hole. Your shifter is down there, and there's your door handle, not to be confused with your window winder, or is that the wrong way round? Aside from one or two rips, the headliner is actually still in surprisingly nice condition. Mirrors here to block your face from the sun. I'm not going to touch that because it feels like it's going to fall off. And in the back, 2 more seats, very small, but they do look remarkably comfortable. Oh, that's nice. And there's no seat belts either.
No seat belts. No
seat belts. Cool. So we are now riding around inside the Anglia, and I love how real it is. You can smell the exhaust fumes. It's a scent I'm a big fan of. You can hear the engine. It's so nice. And it goes back to something I've been saying for a while, is that technology advances. So, you know, infotainment systems, stereo, screens, they get better and better. But the actual ability to make a good car was perfected a long time ago. This is so unbelievably comfortable, and perhaps it's to do with some of the modifications, but the seat is lovely, the ride quality is really nice, the car feels incredibly planted, likely because of that stanced rear axle from the 105E, and I could just listen to that 2-litre Pinto all day. It's lovely. It genuinely feels like I stepped out of my front door and back into the 50s. They really knew how to make cars back here, because it wasn't about economy or electrics or regulations particularly. It was just about, let's put people on the road for cheap. Ford have always been a master at that. Obviously they started out with the Model T all those years ago, and since then they've been mobilizing the masses for affordable prices with expert levels of success. Is this car quite as iconic as its younger brother, the 105E? Not necessarily. But it's where it came from that matters. It's the fact that this shares a nameplate. Without this, there could be no 105E. And then how would Harry and Ron have got to Hogwarts? What a pleasure it is to be in this car. What a treat it is that I get to do this. I'm so grateful to you for watching. Thank you. There's lots of legroom, a huge amount of headroom. The seats are relatively close to the doors, but I still don't feel cramped. And I have to compliment the owner on the state of these windows. They are so clean. I thought it was open earlier, but no, it's closed. And I could genuinely just sit here and listen to that engine all day. Just... what a glorious, glorious exhaust note. Driving the Anglia today is brilliant fun, because you're not playing the same game as everyone else. In fact, this car's not even from the same century as everything else. You're just puttling along, enjoying the countryside, waving at farmers, and hoping that you don't have to stop on a hill. I just love the shape of this car. The way the bumper sticks out, these pods with the headlights, shiny grills, bonnet releases, the chrome wheels. These wing mirrors are just so unbelievably classy. And if you move down, there's your trafficators look. That is a sign of the times. A comedic sticker in the window, very shiny wheels with these big fat tires, and there's your brake lights surrounded with chrome trim. Another thing you don't see so often, but my car has it, is guttering to stop water from getting inside the doors. It's just nice to see something like this still on the road, still making the rounds nowadays. I love the shape. I love how far the wheels stick out of the arches. This gorgeous little Anglia logo down here is just a perfect touch of class. And whilst the boot is really quite small, I'm still very grateful that it's there, because that little hump is wonderful. This is certainly a case of a vehicle being more than the sum of its parts. The Anglia wasn't glamorous, but in post-war Britain, glamour was a pack of custard creams and a tin of Spam. This car did something far more important. It kept the country moving. It allowed you to get to your family's house, to work, and to the seaside. Without this awesome vehicle, we wouldn't have had the later 105e Anglia. Interestingly, my granddad had one about 40 or 50 years ago, and it's the car that my dad spent most of his childhood being ferried about in. This one, though, is the granddad, the forgotten hero, the one that kept the lights on before magic came around and stole the show. Hills in the Anglia can be a little tricky. This car has an interesting feature known as refusing. That's a scientific term, but essentially it means that halfway up, the car stops and demands that you get out and walk the rest of the way. So the 53 Anglia is slow, ratty, and a little uncomfortable, but I love it regardless, because today cars are getting bigger, faster, and more complicated. This gorgeous piece of history reminds us that it doesn't have to be that way. Not for the motorway, not for dual carriageways. This is for Sunday drives and country lanes. It's about laughing with your friends as you try and get up a hill in second gear. It's about character. A car designed to remind you that the human race really has come quite far in the last 70 years. And I love it for that. Thank you so much for watching the video. It's been an honor to have you come along with me and take a look at this gorgeous, gorgeous car. If you enjoyed it and you'd like to see more, you know where the subscribe button is. Seriously, we're trying to hit 3 subscribers by the end of the year, so please help me with that if you can. And I have a Patreon, so if you go over there, you can give as little as £3 a month to get early access to my content, DMing with me, bonus footage, all that kind of great stuff. All the best, and I will see you next time. Come on then, old girl. Let's see if we can make it to the pub before closing time. And it has a whopping 1-litre engine that's mounted sideways. Train. Because it's not exactly standard. It has a hat, that's my script,